How prevalent is Eurocentrism in textbooks and standards that you teach from?
It's still very prevalent. I teach 4th grade, and right now we're studying the missions prior to the Mexican-American War. And it talks about Father Junipero Serra coming through and setting up the missions, and how the Native Americans lost their way of life. And so I have the kids act out what it would be like. And so it does tell a little bit in the textbook about how some Indians decided not to adopt the Catholic ways and would run away, but sometimes they'd get caught and punished. So we talk about that.
Or have you made any efforts to provide counter stories and diverse perspectives in your classrooms when you teach?
Yes, like for that example, we act out, some people are the native people and some people are the missionaries and some people are the farm workers and the Spanish. There's very few Spanish in California at the time. And they all had different roles to play, and then we talked about how they felt and what they thought was fair. And we also learn all about the native tribes before the missions unit, and we learn about all their traditions and customs, and then their beliefs and where their creationist beliefs and how they differ from modern religion.
How do you think these Eurocentric standards and textbooks affect your students?
I feel like the fact that the students can't directly relate to the standards or the subject they're forced to learn, they often disengage when it's something that doesn't interest them or they feel doesn't reflect anything about them. They just they don't find it interesting. Like I mentioned, they disengage and they often shut down. What I have noticed is when students are given opportunity to learn, perhaps about themselves, their history, their culture, or given a topic that they're very passionate about, that does deal with their lived experiences, they're very passionate. They often they're fully engaged and they seem really hungry for knowledge.
How do you think Eurocentrism has affected your education?
I think it has affected my education a lot because, throughout my whole life, we've learned about European accomplishments and nothing about like our culture. I've learned about Spain's colonization of Latin America, the Opium War, the conquest of Africa, and I think it limits my ability to gain knowledge about other countries because, we're like competing against the rest of the world, and if we don't learn about other cultures, or history about other countries, it puts me at stake, and it just limits my ability, and I can't compete against other people. The important step is that they should incorporate other history cultures. Like, for example, I think one of them will be Chicano studies, in my opinion.